Hi, welcome to Clydesdale Homestead. My name is Tamlin. I have received a couple of questions lately about how we make our freeze-dried yogurt drops. So today I'm going to start that video. Let me just tell you first of all that freeze-dried anything doesn't happen quickly. It's going to take at least a day or two. And in case of yogurt, if you're making your own yogurt, it will take several days. So we're going to do the part that we have today, and I'll take you along step by step to show you how we make those. Let me just show you here up close. These are some huckleberry freeze-dried yogurt drops that we made, and they are really tasty. We also made some strawberry rhubarb, and these are great to just grab the jar, throw it in the car when you want a fun snack on the road. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need if you want to make freeze-dried yogurt drops is a freeze dryer. If you don't have one, you may be able to find a friend or a neighbor who has one that might let you use it. And some businesses rent out time on their freeze dryer too. So check around in your area if you don't have a freeze dryer yet and would still like to make something, see if you like the freeze dryer. So it's pretty fun. So the second thing you need is yogurt. You definitely do not have to make your own yogurt. You can use store-bought yogurt. This is a brand that we like to make into freeze-dried yogurt drops because we like that flavor for black cherry. This is Greek Gods, Greek yogurt. There's actually nothing in here right now. I saved the containers for my seed starts. But that's one that we have done and like the flavor. We've tried other flavors of the same brand and we didn't really care for them. So up to you, give it a try. You can definitely use store-bought yogurt. We actually make yogurt. I'll show you. We get milk from a local dairy. And when it is our weekly pickup time, if I haven't used all of the milk that we had from the previous week, I like to make yogurt out of it. So, but you definitely do not have to buy raw milk. In fact, I pasteurize my milk before I make yogurt. So any pasteurized milk would be fine. I'm not sure about ultra pasteurized milk. I was going to do some research about that, but I've heard that you can't make cheese out of it. And so I would do some research before you waste your time with using ultra pasteurized milk, but definitely pasteurized milk is fine. I do pasteurize it because I use a specific yogurt culture that I want to come through. And you can make raw milk yogurt for sure, not pasteurize the milk, but then you have a competition of the bacteria that are in the milk. And so your end product may not be as consistent as you want if you want a very specific type of flavor in your yogurt. So that's up to you. So making your own yogurt, I'm not going to go over that in this video because there are many different methods, and depending on what type of appliance you have to make the yogurt, that will determine how you actually do your process. So I use an Instant Pot. It has a yogurt button. Not all Instant Pots do. That's what I use. So if you want to make yogurt, start with what type of appliance you have. If you have a crock pot or any other slow cooker, if you have a yogurt maker, if you have an Instant Pot, there are different ways to make yogurt. So research that if you want to make your own. So let's start with, I've made yogurt. And here it is. So the first thing I'm going to do is reserve some of the yogurt for myself for later that I'm not going to freeze dry. And I can eat just as yogurt. So set that aside first. I also save some yogurt from each batch and freeze it to use as a starter culture for my next batch of yogurt. Okay, we'll set that aside. So the next thing you're going to want to do if you're making homemade yogurt, or if you're buying yogurt that is not Greek style or very thick, is you're going to want to strain it. All that liquid in the yogurt will make the yogurt very runny when you're trying to pipe it out into little dots to freeze. The end result will be the same as the freeze dryer sublimates all the water in anything, of course, that you put into it. But for the yogurt drops, we want them to have the consistency to be able to keep their shape. And we're going to be adding extra liquid later with the sweetener and fruit. So we really need to get the yogurt as thick as possible. So what I like to do is get a big bowl and a colander and cheesecloth or butter muslin. This is a butter muslin to strain out the whey from the yogurt. And I'm simply going to take all my yogurt that I have left and get it right in there. This is a little bit less than a gallon of yogurt, or gallon of milk that was made into yogurt. So it's quite a bit. Usually I only make about a half a gallon at a time. So get all my yogurt in there. And I'm going to let this drain. So I'll put this in the refrigerator and let it drain overnight. Probably with my schedule, I'm going to let it drain until tomorrow when I get to it. So it's nice and thick and all of the whey has drained out. Okay, our yogurt has been straining in the fridge. It's the next day from the last clip. And we are ready to flavor it, which is the fun part, because the advantage to making your own yogurt or freeze-dried yogurt drops is you get to control the flavor. You know exactly what ingredients are in it. So let's get our yogurt out and see what it looks like. Homemade yogurt lasts a good 2 weeks once you make it. So you've got plenty of time. This procedure is not hard, but it's also not quick. So it takes a while, but it's small steps that you take over the course of a few days to make the yogurt. So the yogurt has strained here, all the whey is down in the bottom. It's nice and thick, which is what you want if you want to pipe your yogurt drops into cute little shapes. If you want just yogurt puddles, your yogurt can be thinner, and that's fine too. It'll taste the same in the end. I just like to do it for the decorative look of it and to make the little drops uniform in size. Okay, so the yogurt is thick. If you're using store-bought yogurt, just buy the Greek kind. It's already a fairly thick style of yogurt. So we'll put this right into our mixer. Sometimes I reserve some of the yogurt in case I'm worried about getting the mixture too sweet. Then you can add more yogurt back in. You, of course, won't have to judge how much yogurt you made. So it's up to you. I reserve some of this just for eating, so it's a little bit less than what I originally had. So it's up to you if you want to reserve some just in case you want to play with the flavor a little bit. So get the yogurt in there, nice and thick. Tip for cleaning your cheesecloth, or this is a butter muslin, is to rinse it as well as you can. I don't like to wash it in the washing machine because if you have any scents or things like that, any fragrances on in your laundry detergent, it's going to get onto your cloth just like it would get onto your clothes. And you don't really want that, especially when you're working with dairy products, things that are temperamental, fermentations, things like that. So after you rinse it, just put it in boiling water and boil it. That'll get it nice and clean, and then you can just air dry it. And that's a good way to keep your cheesecloth very clean, because that's something you definitely don't want to have any residue on it. Okay. So then the other thing I want to mention real quick is you will have a lot of whey left over. And there's a lot of things you can do with whey. You get quite a bit. Let me show you. You can drink it. You can put it in smoothies. You can use it. You can feed it to your animals, your chickens, dogs, pigs, whatever. So that's quite a bit of whey. You can use it as a starter for fermentation projects. So a lot of things you can do. We don't use this much personally, so I save a little bit. I give the rest of the animals. And every time I make a new batch of yogurt, I get rid of the old whey that's in the fridge by giving it to the animals. So you will have a lot of whey left over. Okay, flavoring your yogurt. So I've had questions specifically about the strawberry rhubarb yogurt drops that I made. And so I want to address that. The easiest way I found is to use jam. I made a strawberry rhubarb jam last summer, and that's the easiest way. If you are starting with just frozen fruit, if you have rhubarb, I would cook it first. So we have some different frozen fruits here. If you're doing a soft fruit like peaches and you have frozen, I would simply thaw them drain it, and then puree the fruit. And you can put it right into your yogurt. If you're doing a strawberry rhubarb, I would cook the rhubarb first. You can cook it with the strawberries or without. Just make a sauce. You don't even have to sweeten it at that point. And then blend it, puree it, add it to your yogurt, add the sweetener. So I think rhubarb is kind of the only one I could think of that I would cook first. You definitely could cook any of the fruits first. If you had a pie filling, you could use that. Just blend it up, puree it. And like I said, fresh fruit also. You may want to drain those a little bit also, just so your end product isn't too runny. So strawberry rhubarb, cook the rhubarb first, mash it up so it's very fine. You don't want large chunks of just plain rhubarb in your yogurt drops, just for the texture and the consistency of the product. And then mix it up, put your sweetener in. Or if you already have jam, which is what I'm going to do today, very easy. It's already sweetened, already fairly pureed probably. And that's a good way to flavor it. I'll put these away. So the other way you could flavor your yogurt is if you had a fruit powder. So the huckleberry yogurt drops I made, we had pureed and freeze-dried huckleberries last year. We made some huckleberry creamed honey. It's really good. And we had leftover huckleberry powder. So you could definitely sprinkle a fruit powder into your yogurt and then sweeten it however you want, honey or sugar, whatever you want to sweeten it, or not sweeten it all. That's up to you. So several different ways. Let me know in the comments if you have questions about other specific fruits or things I didn't cover. So you can make a puree with fresh or frozen fruit. You can cook a puree. You can use already made jam. You can use a fruit powder. All things to flavor your yogurt with fruit flavors. If you want to go something that's not a fruit flavor, like if you wanted to make a tzatziki type of flavor, maybe some cucumber and dill, that might be kind of fun to have too. I don't know that I'd eat those just as a snack, but it would freeze dry very well, and you could reconstitute it easily and have your yogurt sauce. So lots of fun things you can do. So the thing about this is I do it by taste, and it all depends on how much yogurt you have, how sweet your mixture is that you're putting into it. And so I can't give you an exact recipe. You'll just have to see what your taste preference is. I don't like extremely sweet yogurt drops, but you know, whatever your family likes is what you should do. The flavor won't change dramatically after it's freeze dried. Not like a dehydrated item where the flavors really intensify. It will be about the same. You just lose the water out of the product. So I wouldn't over sweeten it, or for sure, and under sweetening, not really. Just kind of make it the way you like it, fresh, and then it'll be about the same when it comes out of the freeze dryer. So I think I'm actually going to put 2 half pints, so a pint of jam into this, but no, I'm going to mix it up first and then taste it, and then I'll tell you if I'll put more jam in it. So I do use a mixer. You can use a hand mixer. You can use, just your muscles, but you want to get it really stirred in so you don't have little clumps of jam if you're using jam or jelly, or little clumps of powder or things like that. You want it to be really smooth. So let's give this a mix and see what it tastes like. It is good, but I know my son would like it a little bit sweeter. This is going to be a good one. This cherry jelly I made with lime juice. So if you're a fan of Sonic or other little mom and pop shops of my childhood, where you could go and get burgers and shakes and specialty drinks like a cherry limeade, might remind you of that, but that's what I was thinking when I made it. That's pretty good. Josh, you want to try it? No? And yes, I double dipped my spoon. We call that made with love in our family. It is good. I think I'm going to add the rest of the jelly just for fun. We don't eat a lot of jam and jelly in our family, but I like making it. You could also, you don't want to put anything hot into the yogurt. So when you do make a cooked fruit, you want to make sure you chill it before you mix it in with the yogurt. But you also could warm up or thin jam or jelly a little bit and let it cool and then mix it in if you're worried about the chunks and you want it to be a little bit thinner. Okay, let's see. I think that looks pretty good. There's some little chunks of jelly in it still, but it'll be fine. Okay, cleaned up the area. Now comes the fun part, the piping. You can pipe right onto the freeze dryer trays. I have a medium. You can fit quite a few on there. I would definitely put parchment paper on because when the yogurt drops are finished and you're scraping them off, they tend to stick a little bit and they can crumble and break quite easily. And so you can line your little trays with parchment paper and pipe right onto there. And then you can pre-freeze or stick them directly in your freeze dryer. But I have found that I want to put more in at the same time. So I'll pipe right onto the silicone mats that I have. These are actually for fruit leather in my dehydrator, but any silicone type of sheet that you have will work. Or of course you could just put more parchment paper on here. And then I pre-freeze them. When they're done, you can pop them off and put them on your freeze dryer trays and you can mound them up. They don't have to be in cute little nice order. So that makes it easy for you to freeze dry more at a time than if you pipe directly onto the sheets and of course they're still wet and you can't pile them up. So either way, work. I have room in my freezer for 4 of these, and so that's what I like to load up if I have enough yogurt. Then you need some type of tool so you can pipe the yogurt into little drops. You could just use 2 spoons and make little drops, that's fine. You could cut a little corner out of a plastic baggie and squeeze it like that. Any type of frosting or icing dispenser that you have, any decorating tips would work fine. I happen to have this, it's a Pampered Chef one, and I have the medium star tip on it. One of my neighbors sold Pampered Chef about 20 years ago. That's how long I've had this. So you just load up your appliance, your bag, whatever you have. This is the messy part, but also fun. And it's great. You have family members that want to help you with this part because it is fun. And you can see again why we want it to be thick. It's not running out of the spout. It's nice and thick, staying in there until you want to dispense it. Okay. Oop. Okay, and then we just start making our little drops, little stars. And just keep going until you have filled all the trays. They don't expand or anything, so you can put them very close together. Not like cookies that are going to spread or rise or anything. So the freeze-dried product will be exactly the same size as it is when it goes in. That's the cool thing about freeze-dried products. They don't shrivel up like a dehydrated product would. I like to make mine between 1/2 inch and 1 inch, so fairly small, just bite size. And another thing is I do like to just let them dissolve in my mouth. I don't like to chew them. That's just personal preference. But I let it dissolve in my mouth so it's creamy again. And I don't like the texture of biting into something that's freeze-dried. And then I put these in the freezer to pre-freeze. And go to the next one. Okay, the yogurt drops have been freezing overnight. It's the next day, and we want to work kind of quickly so they don't start to thaw. Then they will become obviously yogurt texture again, and you want them to stay in their cute little shapes. So just pop these off. You can see I've got 2 of my green trays put onto one freeze dryer tray, and that much of stacking is perfectly fine. That's not overloaded at all. My freeze dryer is in use right now, so these will have to wait. Plus I don't have a full machine load yet. It's only made 2 trays. So I'll load up the other trays with something that's not going to transfer any type of flavor to the yogurt drops. So we don't want these to thaw at all. Let's put a lid on them and put them back in the freezer until we're ready for them to go in the freeze dryer. The freeze dryer has defrosted from its previous load and it's done its chill cycle. So now we can load it up with the frozen items. Close the door. Make sure to close the drain valve. Never forget that, or the machine can't achieve suction. So that's closed. And then just push continue and let the machine do its thing. About 24 hours later, the yogurt drops are completely dry and crispy, and they're ready to be packaged for storage. We like to put them in jars because we'll use them quickly. This is the vacuum sealer that we use to make the jars airtight. Okay, that's how I make freeze-dried yogurt drops. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and I'll get to those. Thanks for watching.